Okay, welcome back. So let's proceed our discussion. So this is the landscape that we are going to dive into. There are many language-related problems that we want to solve using computational methods, and these are some of them. But in the process, we are going to see many other. Like we'll be talking about stemming. We are going to talk about morphological processes. We are going to talk about maybe spelling correction, where we will be talking about word prediction, which means what is the word that comes next. We'll be talking about a grammar checker for a language, or we'll be talking about a speech system. You know, to some extent, I will try to introduce you those concepts in the process. Now, let's try to see the basic thing that we have in natural language processing or in computational linguistics, as some professionals call it. So the issue in natural language processing is we want to solve, mind you, a computational system is applied in a field so that we want to solve the problem from, for that field. Like if you develop a hospital system or a patient tracking system, the purpose is, to solve a problem for the hospital or for the health system. If you develop a student management system, again, the objective is to solve student management related problem, but we are going to apply a computational method or a computational system to this job. Now, when it comes to NLP, we are trying to solve language related problems. Mind you, when we say a problem, it doesn't mean that the language is having a problem, but it is challenging for human beings. So the computer is trying to provide some kind of assistance in solving that challenge that we face. So it is about solving language related problem by using a computational method. That's why we call it computational linguistics. On the linguistic, we're trying to apply computational methods. So some of the language processing applications would be like spelling correction. We know that using a word processor for English language, we know that if you miss a spelling, then it is going to be underlined with red, right? And if you right click on it, then there would be suggestions. And that's what we call is spelling correction. And how it is done? There are computational methods that you can use, like looking into maybe a dictionary would be a solution, or predicting the character that follows the next one would be the method that we use. So there are many computational methods that you can use, first to detect an error, second to correct the error. So there are many methods that we can see, like a grammar checking. Grammar is concerned about whether two words are supposed to be there together in a sentence, two or more words, because we know that words do not occur randomly. They prefer words to be there. And a very simple practice that you can do is, if you take out your cell phone just now, and if you type I, the word I, then if you make a space, your phone is going to make a prediction, okay? Sometimes it will say, I will. Sometimes it will say, I am. Sometimes it will say, I love. Sometimes it will say, I something. And it is based on your pattern, the pattern that you have been using, okay? And this means predicting the next word. Because by looking into your what we call previous interaction or previous text, you can develop a language model that predicts what comes next. And this is a computational system that tries to assist you in typing. So if you use your cell phone, what's happening? Most of the time, it will simplify the typing process. Even when you start writing a word, immediately after you write, the first couple of characters, it will try to predict the remaining one. And how is that done? It is done by analyzing the language. It's done by analyzing what comes next. And what comes next in a word or in a sentence is a linguistic element, because we know that it don't appear. I mean, it doesn't appear randomly. Like, what would be the next word if I say, let's say, if I say will? Let's say there is some words, then immediately after that, I have the word will, W-I-L-L. And that's the Let's see, what comes next. If I have, some words, then next, what if I have will? What would be the next word that follows? Mind you, after will, I cannot have, for example, the word desire. Okay? Or maybe, okay, I can have this one. Will the car come something? Or let's have this one. Can I have will? Or can I have the word can after will? It can't, because the language doesn't allow you. It's not because of the computer, it is because of the language, because the language will not allow you the word can to follow the word will. And this is what we call is a grammar. Grammar is concerned about the words, how they co-occur with one another. If you have the word, let's say, let's have this one. If I have then let's say the small, then let's have boy. So you know that the first one is a determinant, the next one is an adjective, then you are going to have a noun. But what if I have immediately after the, what if I have the it? Okay? Now in this case, the is a determinant or it's an article. And the language tells you that after an article, you cannot have a verb. And this is a rule of the language. Okay, this is only for English. After an article, you cannot have, or after a determinant, you cannot have a verb. But if you have an adjective, that's okay. Okay. If you have a noun, that's also okay. It allows an adjective, to come after a determinant and a noun to come after a determinant. So it means we're talking about an option, which means this is the kind of solution that we are providing. Let's say I have the word boy. Let's say I have the word car. Let's say I have the word will. Let's say I have the word eat. And let's say I have the word a. Okay, just a sample. Now this tells you that in the language process, you can say the boy, it's allowed. You can say the car, it's allowed, but you cannot say the wheel, or you cannot say the it, or you cannot say the a. And this is what we mean by grammar. It's concerned about how words come, one after the other. But even if you see the first two, boy and car, they don't have equal chance of occurring, because we know that in the text or in our daily conversation, one of them is going to be used more than the other. Which means even though the word is allowed, its frequency of occurrence will determine whether it is the appropriate word to use in that context. So such kind of things are very important in language analysis. And that's why as a language speaker or as the user of a language, whenever words are not put in the right place, we feel the discomfort. We feel the discomfort. Let's take one Amharic word, sentence, and Amharic sentence እንጠቀም. Let's say መኪናው በሮ ሄዶ መብራቱን ጣሰ እንበል. Okay, so this is what we have. መኪናው በሮ ሄዶ መብራቱን ጣሰ እንበልና አራት ነጥብ አለ. Okay, this is a valid sentence, right? But what if I write it in such a way? እንደዚህ ብጽፈውስ? Mind you, I'm using the same words, but the order in which I put them is incorrect because of the rule of the language. In Amharic, I'm not allowed to put such kind of things. So there is a preferred order. What comes first? Is it the subject or the object or the verb? Is it the determinant or is it the article? Or is it the negative marker? What comes first or what comes after which one is a very important element that we have to understand. That's why a computational system would find it difficult to understand human language, but our effort is to try to develop a computational system to deal with such kind of issues. And most of the time we do that by using previous data or an experience. So information retrieval, machine translation, and speech recognition are some of the NLP applications that are frequently done. Now, whenever you want to develop such kind of a system, understanding the domain is very important. Like if you want to develop a financial management system, unless and otherwise you understand the basics of finance, unless and otherwise you understand, the terminologies or how things are done, it would be really difficult for you to develop a system. Like if you don't know debit and credit, if you don't know what a ledger is, if you don't know what a journal is from financial perspective, and if you are asked to develop a financial management system, then definitely you won't be successful. So that's why, as an IT professional, we are expected to understand the other field so that we can help them by developing a computational system to lessen their burden in their day-to-day activity. So in this case as well, to develop a natural language processing application or to develop a computational system, you should be able to have knowledge of the language. That's what we mean by knowledge, or the required knowledge in natural language processing. So the first kind of knowledge that you need is, mind you, it might not be always required to have the whole skill, but we know that phonetics and phonology is one of the skill, or one of the language knowledge that you need to have. Phonetics and phonology are concerned about speech. The first one, which we call phonetics, is concerned about the human vocal sound production system, okay? How you humans, or what are the sounds that can be produced by a human being. And phonetics is not language specific, which means in Amharic, we have, the sound S. You have the same sound in English. You have the same sound in Guarani. You have the same sound in Chinese. You have the same sound in Dutch. You have the same sound in Swahili or many other language, mind you, because it's produced by the human mind, the human vocal tract. So everybody can produce those sounds. It's a matter of practice, mind you. The vocal tract is about moving the muscles, starting from the diaphragm up to the nasals, or the airflow through your nose. So all these are muscles that are moving in your vocal tract to produce a sound. For example, some of the English speakers, they cannot say cha or ta, right? Why? Because they didn't practice it starting from childhood. If they do, they can, okay? In South Africa, there is a sound called osa, which has a click. We don't use it as a sound in Amharic, but they use it, so they call it a click. So the language is osa, and I also have a friend called Ogobela. So which means this is a practice that they have. So this is a sound that a human being can produce, and all the sound that can be produced by a human being is part of phonetics. Phonetics is concerned about, the inventory of the sounds that can be produced by a human being. The other kind of speech knowledge that we have is phonology. Now, phonology is a bit different from phonetics. Phonetics is talking about the whole, kind of sound that can be produced by a human being. Phonology is concerned about the sounds of a specific language, the sounds that are available in a specific language, which is a subset of what we have all over the world, which means phonetics is about, the sounds that can be produced by a human being irrespective of the language. But phonology is concerned about only the sounds that can be produced by a language, and the rule that you have on those sounds, how they order, how they follow one another. Because we know that when you produce a sound, one sound is going to affect the other one based on, their nature. And that's what we call is phonology. We'll talk about that one, in detail in chapter 2. Then after phonetics and phonology, we have morphology. Morphology is concerned about spelling. It is concerned about the textual or the written representation of words. For example, you have this word, right? The word doors. What do you know about this? Definitely when you see the word, you will know that it is many of something, right? And you say that because of the word, because of the character S. Because you know that in English, when S is added at the end of the word, we know that it's not always the case. But whenever S is added at the end of the word, and if the word is a noun, it means it's a plural marker. It tells you that something is many in number. So in this case, we are talking about many doors. What if it is boys? It means it's talking about many or more than one of whatever object that we're talking about. And this is what we call is morphology. Morphology is concerned about the structure of words, the structure or the morph or the shape of the words. And the shape of a word is explained by the symbols that we use. Mind you, here we are using the Latin. In Amharic or in Tigrinya, in Ge'ez, in Guarani, we are using the Ethiopic script. If you go to the Far East, they have their own script. So this is a basic thing. Morphology is concerned about the structure or the form of a word in a written form. So producing and recognizing variations of an individual word is what we call morphology. So for example, if you have the word, let's say talk, you can have talks, you can have talking, talked, all these are variations of the same word. But the attachment that you put on the word will have some contribution to the meaning of the word, right? If you say talked, what does it mean? It's something that happened in the past. If you say talking, it means it's in a continuous form. If you say talks, it means you're talking about third person reference. And such kind of things are very important in understanding the meaning that's communicated. And that's what we call is morphology. So for example, in Amharic, morphology is very complex. And I can give you a word, the word gaddal or sabara. If you see the word sabara, it's just about the action of breaking. But based on the morphology of the language, it can be extended to, even you can generate more than 1,000 of words. Like you can say sabara, sabbar, sabbaran, sabra, sabra, asat, sabr, sila, sabara, si sabr, sin sabr, tasababara, sabr, re, sabr, sabbar. You have no idea how complex it is, how rich the language is in terms of this one. So, by the way, all Semitic languages are of such a type, including Arabic, Ge'ez, Tigrinya, and as well as Amharic. So, knowing what is attached to the word to create what kind of meaning is very important, and that's the study of morphology. The other one is syntax. Mind you, we have seen three types, right? Phonetics, phonology, and morphology. The other one is syntax. Now, let's assume that the word is correctly written. But whenever you communicate with people, the words are going to be put one after the other. And this order of words have its own rule. You cannot simply, in a haphazard manner or in a random manner, you cannot put words together. If you do that, then the meaning might not be conveyed properly. So that's what we call a syntax. In programming, you know what a syntax is, right? Syntax is concerned about how the keywords in your program are properly, put in the right place. Otherwise, your program cannot be parsed. Your program cannot be translated or executed. So syntax is concerned about the knowledge needed to order or to group words together. Now let's have the first sentence. I am, I do, sorry, that I'm afraid, Dave, I am, can't. You can't, parse this one. You can't understand because even though the words are there, the order is not correct. So the correct meaning can be conveyed if you have a correct order. So it means, Dave, I'm sorry, I'm afraid, I cannot do that. This way people can understand because the words are put in the exact order or in the permissible or in the allowed order. Have a look at the Amharic sentence. The first one, Manila, ቤቴ ሄጄ እመጣለሁ. What does it mean? I'll go to my home and I'll come back, right? What about the second one? እመጣለሁ ቤቴ ሄጄ. It also works, right? Though it feels a little bit odd. እመጣለሁ ቤቴ ሄጄ ማለት ቤቴ ሄደና እመጣለሁ ነው። What about the third one? ሄጄ እመጣለሁ ቤቴ. What does it mean? Now it's a little bit different. ሄጄ means somewhere else. ከዛስ እመጣለሁ ቤቴ. So coming to my home is the second action. But in the previous two instances, going to my home is the first thing. ቤቴ ሄጄ እመጣለሁ, which means I'll go to my home and I will come back. The second one, እመጣለሁ ቤቴ ሄጄ. I will come after going to my home. The third one, ሄጄ እመጣለሁ ቤቴ. Now this is different, right? Mind you, this shows you that languages have their own way of arranging words. In English, if you miss those orders, then definitely the meaning is going to be totally, wrong. But in Amharic, for example, such kind of, reordering was allowed. The first one, ቤቴ ሄጄ እመጣለሁ ብልም እመጣለሁ ቤቴ ሄጄ ብላችሁም you can understand the same thing. ሶስተኛው ላይ ስታዩ ግን you feel odd because the order has changed, but the meaning is going to be different. So there are languages which allow you to do any kind of ordering. Sometimes we call them no order language. No word order language, sorry. No word order language, which means if you put them in any order, the meaning might be the same. But some orders are, some languages are very strict. So studying that order of words is what we call a syntax. And when you go to that, there is a concept of also semantics. Semantics means, after syntax, we also have the question of semantics. Semantics is concerned about the knowledge of the meaning of a component of a word. Because whenever you converse with people, whenever you write something, you are concerned about, communicating your idea to the receiver. But when you do that, the words that you are using might be interpreted differently by the receiving end. So you have to be very careful about how the words are selected and how the words are used in a sentence. And that's what we call is semantics. So if I say, for example, duck, what do you understand? If I say the word duck, and that's evil, what do you understand? Sorry. What do you understand from this word? Anyone? You can unmute yourself and try to respond. What do you understand? Anyone?
I think a kind of bird.
Okay, kind of bird. Anything else?
And one type of playing card. I think like diamond and.
Oh, that's deck. It's not duck. That is deck.
መንበርከክ ሊሆን ይችላል።
Exactly. Now let's have a sentence. What does this mean? If you say I saw her duck, what does it mean?
ዝቅ አለች ወይም ተንበረከከች።
አዎ ወይንም ሊሆን ይችላል የሷን ዳክ ያያዩት ማለት ሊሆን ይችላል ወይንም ጭንቅላቷን እንዲህ ሲደብቅ አያዩት። by the way ዳክ ማለት hiding your head ማለት ነው። Mind you, this is complex because of the ambiguity of the word duck. And we have the same thing, right? እንደዚህ ተጽፎ ብታገኙ ምን ትላላችሁ? What am I talking about?
በዓል የገና በዓል።
Okay, ሰላም ሰላም What do you understand from this one? ሰላም እሺ ተመስገን
ገና ለመሆኑ ላይክ አለመረሱ ጊዜ ገና መሆኑና ገናን ደግሞ በዓልንም ሪፍሌክት ያደርግ ይችላል።
Okay, so it might mean not yet ወይንም it might mean Christmas or not yet, right? Now, the only way that you can understand this word is whenever it's put in context. If you put it in context, then it won't be ambiguous. Like if I say, if I say, where is it? Now, what do you understand? What about now? Now this is Christmas, right? And you know this because of the words that are surrounding it, right? And this is a kind of thing that we want to do in semantics. Semantics is concerned about, the meaning. The meaning is derived either from the word itself or from the neighboring words. So sometimes this is what we call is lexical semantics, which means a knowledge of the meaning of components of the word. The other one is compositional semantics. Sometimes we also have what we call sentimental semantics. The semantics at a sentence level. Now, when we say compositional semantics, we are concerned about the knowledge of how components of a larger structure would be affected by the participants. For example, if you say the word the data and base, then the combined one would be database. But it doesn't mean data na the basement maletaችን አይደለም. The meaning would be totally different. That's what we call is a compositional semantics. If you say bet and መጽሐፍ, and if you combine it, it is ቤተ መጽሐፍ. But ቤተ መጽሐፍ is not only about a house of book. It doesn't mean a house of book. It's even beyond that. And to make it even much easier, what do you understand if I write this one? We have the word girl, right? And we have the word friend. Adam? We have these two words. Now, what if I have girlfriend? Does it mean a friend who is a girl? No, it's more than that. It's more intimate. So that's what we call is compositional semantics. When words come together, the meaning doesn't mean that the sum of the two meanings. It's totally different. And that's what we call is compositional semantics, which means the meaning that arise from, you know, those combination. The other one, mind you, after semantics, so far we have discussed about phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. We have discussed about 5. The other one is pragmatics. Pragmatics is concerned about the intention of the speaker, okay? It is concerned about the intention of the speaker. It's not concerned about the words. The words might not be, you know, or the intention of the person might be different from the words themselves. For example, if I say, "Pa anta ko arif ne," do I really mean that you are arif? You don't know. You don't know my intention. Maybe I'm being sarcastic. አይደለ? እንደ አማርኛ ላይ እንደውም ያላገጥክ ነው ምናምን እንላለን አይደል? What does it mean? ወይንም ስትፎትተኝ ነው ስትፎግረኝ ነው እንላለን አይደል? What does it mean? It means the word that the person is uttering might not mean exactly what, you know, or it might not be his intention. So we are concerned about, in pragmatics, we are concerned about the intention of the speaker. So we are concerned about what the speaker really mean. What does he really mean? Does he really mean, you know, that one? And that's what we call is pragmatic. So in pragmatics, we are concerned about the polite or the right way of saying things. So not being sarcastic, not ወይንም እኛ በቅኔ ተናገርክኝ በአሽሙር ተናገርክኝ የምንላቸው ነገሮች ማለት ነው. That's concerned, I mean, what we mean by pragmatics. The last one is discourse. And discourse is concerned about knowledge at a very higher level, which means, mind you, starting from the first one, a language construct can be built using characters. The characters will make words. The words would make phrase. A phrase will make a sentence. The sentence will, you know, create a paragraph. The paragraph will have a topic. The topic will have a chapter. The chapter is going to have a book. But during the discussion, ideas might be dispersed across these constructs. So if you find a sentence of such a sort, okay, if you find a sentence of such a sort, if you find this one, I enjoyed it. What did I enjoy? What did I enjoy? What did I enjoy? Which means you cannot actually understand this one unless and otherwise you have prior knowledge, right? You need to have prior knowledge about something. So if you say, if I say I watched the movie, then next to that, if it says I enjoyed it, it means it is a movie. But which movie? Then you can say,
the movie watched
is, yeah. Does he will now? Then it means now it is referring to, mind you, this is the thing that we have, okay? It is referring to the movie, I'm sorry, the movie, and movie is referring to Men in Black. So you see, to get the context of a sentence, you might need to go beyond the sentence, and that's what we call is a discourse. Discourse is about a topic. Knowledge of correctly structuring, you know, these things like even intonation, gesture, style, speech act, all these things is very important. So whenever you say the word that, Dave, I'm afraid, I'm sorry, I'm afraid I cannot do that. So that is referring to something else, something that we were discussing earlier, and that's what we call a discourse analysis, mind you. Some of these things, speech act, actually it belongs to pragmatics rather than discourse. Now, the next thing that we have in here is, these are the, you know, the knowledge of a language that you need to do computational linguistics. As we said, phonetics and phonology concerned about the study of linguistic sounds. Morphology concerned about the study of the meaningful components of the words, mind you. A word has its components. So if I write something of such a sort, zigandi bitsafalachu, if I say what do you see here? What do you see? The word altasabbarkullahum ayrala. But what do you have inside of it? You have these things, okay?
አንድ
Have you ever seen it in such a way?
No.
Huh? Mind you, we are having all this piece of information on a single word. And if you change any of them, any of those, the meaning will be different. Okay? What if I change le with be? Huh? Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me undo things. Redo. Okay. Let me rewrite it here. So from now onwards, don't simply speak words. Try to analyze them in such a way if you are going to be good at, computational systems. So this is it. What if I change this one? Here into B. Menona. No, sorry. This is here. Sorry, here. Le into B. አልተሰበርኩብህም ሆነ ተጎጂ ነህ ማለት ነው ተጎጂና ተጠቃሚ so if you change le it will be different if you change it to be it's different so we call this one benefactive who is a beneficiary from this one what if I change here to she then it will be feminine right the subject the object is going to be a second person feminine I'm talking about me not being broken for her, right? እንደዚህ ቢሆንስ እዚህ ጋር አላት actually እችኛዋ አለች አችሁ አልተሰበርኩ ብና ሲገናኝ ባ ይሆንና ችሁምና አልተሰበርኩባችሁምና you see what if I remove ku into and this one she into she what would be the case እንደዚህ ይሆናል አያችሁ አልተሰበርክባትምና ይሆናል what if I remove al and me ተሰበርክባትና ሆነ ማለት ነው አያችሁ so this is morphology the words that we are uttering the words that we are writing are beyond our comprehension sometimes our mind is so doing that effortlessly it is so spontaneous right but if you go deep inside and try to analyze the words that we are speaking they are much more complicated than we think our mind is so brilliant in doing that and we want the machine to perform these tasks and this is what we call is morphology analyzing the component of the words so that we can get the meaning out of it okay this is a very important thing in computational linguistics the other one is syntax we talked about the order of words that we have like you can say adagenya okay adagenya faras galabi you can have this word, okay? I mean, this sentence, but there are different ways of, grouping this sentence or dealing with the sentence. You can say, adegenya faras, then galabi, or you can say, adegenya, then faras galabi. So in these two contexts, the adjective adegenya is referring to two things. In the first case, adegenya farasan andalai slaragno, adegenya is complementing or describing faras. So adegenya farasan የሚጋልብ ሰው ማለት ነው. We're not saying that the galabi or the rider is brave. We're not saying that. ፈረሱ ነው እንጂ ስለ ጋላቢው አናወራም። ሁለተኛው ላይስ ፈረስ አለ ጋላቢ አለ። ፈረስ ጋላቢ ስንል we are referring to the person. But adegenya ነው ስንል in this case we are talking about the galabi, not about the horse. So mind you, the same sentence can be grouped into two to give you two different meanings. And that's what we call a syntax. The study of the structure and the relationship between words. Semantic is concerned about the study of the meaning. Pragmatic is concerned about the study of how language is used to accomplish your goal. Your goal, not the speaker's goal. I mean, not the receiver's goal. You, as a speaker, what is the goal that you want to attain? And this course means a study of the linguistic unit larger than a single utterance or greater than a sentence. That's the main issue that we have. So when we meet on Monday, we are going to discuss about this concept, which means the stage that we need to deal with in NLP in a textual and in a speech form, okay? That's what we have for today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for